Okay, so we already started, but okay, but we're pretty much at the beginning. Okay, so five parshas ago, we started at Parshas Teruma and Tetzava. Those were so that was 2 weeks of instruction of how Hashem telling us to build the Mishkan. Then there was a little break of Kisisa, which part of it was about instruction and part of it was the story of the sin of the golden calf, even though that happened before the construction or the instruction. And then there was Vayakhel, which was last week, and that was like all discussed it in detail, everything the Jewish people did for the construction, and this week too. So we're going to read some excerpts, and we're going to see it's very, very detailed of Hashem telling, it's very, very detailed of the instruction or what they did of not just a generalization, but it's very, very detailed of how the Jews built the Mishkan. Shelley, you want to do it? It's a longie.
Sure. And Moses spoke to the entire community of the children of Israel, saying, "This is the word that God has commanded to say. Take from yourselves an offering for God. Every generous-hearted person shall bring it, namely God's offering, gold, silver, and copper. And every wise-hearted person among you shall come and make everything that God has commanded. Bezalel and Oholiab,
Yeah.
Oholiab?
The Hebrew is Aholiab. So yeah, Aholiab.
Okay, Aholiab. And every wise-hearted man into whom God had imbued wisdom and insight to know how to do shall do all the work of the service of the holy according to all that God has commanded.
And it continues.
Then all the wise-hearted people of the performers of the work made the Mishkan out of 10 curtains consisting of twisted fine linen and blue, purple, and crimson wool. A cherubim design, the work of a master weaver, he made them. And then he made curtains of goat hair for a tent over the Mishkan. He made them 11 curtains. And he made the planks for the Mishkan of acacia wood, upright. And he made the dividing curtain of blue, purple, and crimson wool, and twisted fine linen, the work of a master weaver, he made it, in a woven cherubim design. Bezalel made the ark of acacia wood, 2.5 cubits long, a cubit and a half wide, and a cubit and a half high.
And it continues.
And he then made a table of acacia wood, 2 cubits long, 1 cubit wide, and a cubit and a half high. And he made the menorah of pure gold, of hammered work. He made the menorah. Its base and its stem, its goblets, its knobs, and its flowers were all one piece with it. And he made the incense altar out of acacia wood, 1 cubit long and 1 cubit wide, square and 2 cubits high. Its horns were one piece with it. And he made the altar for the burnt offerings of acacia wood, 5 cubits long and 5 cubits wide. The altar was square, and it was 3 cubits high. And he made the courtyard of the southern side. There were hangings for the courtyard of twisted fine linen, 100 cubits.
Okay, I think this is the end of it.
These are the numbers of the Mishkan of the testimony, which were counted at Moses' command. This was the work of the Levites under the direction of Ithamar, the son of Aaron the Kohen. And out of the blue, purple, and crimson wool, they made the meshwork garments to serve the holy, and they made Aaron's holy garments as the Lord had commanded Moses. All the work of the Mishkan of the tent of meeting was completed. The children of Israel had done it, according to all that God had commanded Moses. So they had done.
Okay, so this is just small excerpts of this week's Parsha. You see how detailed it is? It's not just saying, oh, they built the ark. Okay. They built the menorah. Okay. No, it's going into all the details all over again. It's very repetitive. So as I said before, in Teru, the Parshas of Teruma and Tetzava was more the instruction. And here it's how the Jews followed Hashem's instruction. So why? Many times, when Hashem says, it says Hashem commanded Moshe to tell Jewish people, blah, 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 blah. And then it says, okay, and the Jewish people did as God commanded. But here it says, and they made this, and this is how they made it. They made it exactly like this and like that. So all the details are listed here. So why is it so detailed, repeat kind of what was before. So let us read text number 2, what the Abarbanel says. Okay. Catherine, you want to read it?
Sure. Question: why is the information about the building of the Mishkan repeated again and again? The Torah tells us about the Mishkan and its vessels 5 times, sometimes in a brief summary and other times in full detail. The question is most acute in these Torah portions. First, Moses tells the Jewish people, "Every wise-hearted person among you shall come and make everything that God has commanded." And the verses go on to list all of the things they were commanded to build. Then the Torah goes on to describe the actual construction of every individual element in full detail. It should have been enough for the Torah to state, and Moses related to all the children of Israel all of the work God had instructed him about. And then all of the wise-hearted people did as Moses had commanded. What is the need to relate the details again and again?
Okay, so he just details the question very well. Okay. So now what do we usually do? What's the first person, the first commentary that will answer the basic question? Usually would be Rashi, but Rashi has no comment on the repetition. So actually it's Rashi himself who happens to mention in a different, in like, under something else, that there's no new information in this week's Parsha. So most of the Parsha, actually, when you look at it in the Chumash, there's very, very little Rashi commentary compared to most Parshas. There's very, very few passages that have some type of comment from Rashi. So why is Rashi silent on this basic question? So Rashi does have, one of the Rashi's commentary is about the people who gave either gifts or their time, like their talent in creating the things for the Mishkan. And let's see what it says. Text number 3. Sylvia, want to do that one?
Sure. Every generous-hearted person, because his or her heart motivated them to be generous, they are called generous-hearted. I have already explained the account of the contributions to the Mishkan and the details of its construction in the passages where the instructions were given.
Okay, so he brings down why is it called a generous-hearted person, okay? And then he explains what that means. And he says, oh, I don't have to, explain anything else here because all the details about the construction I already spoke about when Hashem gave the instructions for it. Okay, so this is very interesting. So it makes adults, us who are all, we think so deeply that we are conspiracy theorists and say, hey, what's going on here? Why is Hashem repeating? Why is the Torah repeating all this information? Some conspiracy over here, right? But a child doesn't think like that. A child is very plain and simple, and a child thinks very straightforward. And we said Rashi always answers the child's questions, not the adult's questions. So for a child's mind, hey, it makes sense. When you're excited about something, you talk about it a lot, right? Oh my goodness, we went to the ball game and we played, and this person did this and that person that, and then Mikey got hurt his leg and blah 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 blah, right? Kids get all excited and they hear about it, and then they hear their parents saying the same. Oh, when I was a child, this and that's happened to me, and then the parent says again, and the kid knows, oh, my father's just excited about talking about his life when he was a child or whatever it is. So they look at it, children look at it, it's common sense why something's repeated, because it's something that we're very excited about, or it's a big deal about, like Shelley said, something very important, like Andrea said, something very exciting, something amazing. So the Mishkan is a big deal in the big scheme of things. And why is that? Because Hashem created the world to make a dwelling place for him, right? Now, the world was in existence at this point for over 2,400 years, and he still did not give his Magnus Carta over to the people why he created the world or what he wanted until Mount Sinai, until the Jews got the Torah on Mount Sinai. Was there no we didn't really know we didn't know, but even just the whole purpose of the world, that Hashem should be able to dwell in it by us bringing godliness down, by us doing mitzvahs, by us doing different things, was not even a concept. It was not even an ability. And only when the Jews got the Torah, after they were liberated from Egypt after like their terrible time in Egypt, and they were liberated from Egypt, and they got the Torah, and now we get the instructions that we need to make the world a godly place, and then we get the instructions, and Hashem's Shekhinah will rest in the Mishkan. So only now, for 2,400 years of creation, is the purpose, the mission, taking of the whole creation of the world go like falling into place. Text number 4. Carrie.
The function of the Mishkan was to facilitate God's presence dwelling among the Jewish people, as the verse states, and they shall make me a Mishkan, and I will dwell among them. The sages also spoke of this when they said, God desired to have a home for himself in the lower realms. The question is that the verse states that regardless of all of this, God, fulfill the heavens and the earth. So what added purpose did the Mishkan serve? The answer is that a home means a place where godliness is revealed. This must be specifically in the lower realms.
And then it continues.
Lower here doesn't mean a lower place in the physical sense, because God is beyond the limitations of space. In this context, higher and lower refer to the spiritual level. Our lowly world is spiritually the lowest of all, the final link in the chain of worlds. This is why godliness is heavily concealed in this world, and it is filled with darkness. God desired to dwell and reveal himself specifically in this world and illuminate its darkness.
Okay, so Hashem wanted a home where his revealed light is. There's the Mishkan, and eventually the Beis HaMikdash, the Holy Temple. And now we're going to read a deeper explanation of the whole creation of the world, of the whole dwelling of the Shekhinah. Text number 5. Yeah.
Okay.
I have come into my garden, my sister, my bride. Midrash Rabbah on the verse observes that the word used is not legan.
Lagan.
What?
Lagan. It's okay.
Lagan to the garden, but lagani to my garden. The possessive form implies a private place. My bridal chamber. The divine presence, in thus saying, I have come into my bridal chamber, into the place in which my essence was originally revealed. The Midrash continues, in the beginning, the divine presence was apparent in this lowly world. However, in the wake of the cosmic sin of the tree of knowledge, the divine presence departed from the earth and rose to the heavens. Later, on account of the sin of Cain and then of Enosh, the divine presence withdrew even further from the world, rising from the nearest heaven to the second and then to the third. Later yet, the sins of the generation of the deluge caused is to recede from the third heaven to the fourth, and so on.
Okay, and then it continues.
The Midrash proceeds to explain that 7 righteous people subsequently arose in their divine service through the divine presence down to this world, below once more. Through the merit of Abraham, the divine presence was brought down from the 7th heaven to the 6th. Through the merit of Isaac, the divine presence...
Sorry, I actually moved it. So. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, the divine presence was brought down from the 6th heaven to the 5th, and so on. The culminated in Moses, the 7th of the sequence of righteous people. The 7th is cherished, who drew the revelation of the divine presence down into the world below once again. The ultimate revelation of godliness took place in the holy temple, as the verse states, and they shall make me They shall make for me a sanctuary, and I shall dwell within them.
Okay, so this, just by the way, is this was written the last Hasidic discourse that the previous Chabad Rebbe wrote up for the Hasidim to learn, and this is what the Rebbe based his whole leadership on, about revealing the divine presence. That's why we talk about it so much in our classes, revealing divine presence in the world by doing mitzvahs and doing things till Mashiach comes. So basically, in short, as what Ba'ir read, is that originally Hashem's presence was there in Gan Eden, in the Garden of Eden, and then because of different sins and different things that happened, it got hidden upper in the upper heavens, and only when Avram was recognized God, that slowly the divine presence started to come back into the world, and but still, but then with the sin of the golden calf, it got kind of like hidden more again, and now it's our job to reveal it by doing so many mitzvahs. Okay, so but the idea of this is that the revelation of Hashem, the place where Hashem rests most, is in the Mishkan, which what our Parsha is talking about today. So, and we also
a question, sorry.
Sure.
So you were saying that when we do mitzvah and we do something good, this is like the ultimate way to bring the divine presence.
Exactly.
So serving God, yeah, basically.
Yes, yeah. Any mitzvah we do. And so mitzvah, any of the 613 commandments. Okay. So also we learned last week that the Mishkan was a testimony that Hashem forgave the Jewish people for the sin of the golden calf. Or was that 2 weeks ago, maybe? Last week or 2 weeks ago? I don't remember. Anyway, last week. So that's also the Mishkans, because of that, like they're excited. It reminds them, oh yes, Hashem forgave us. This is good. Okay, so Valentina, you want to read this one? You're on mute.
Yeah, oh, sorry. Okay. So the Mishkan of the testimony, the edifice of the Mishkan testified to the Jews that God had forgiven them for the construction of the golden calf, because his presence was not dwelling among them.
Okay, so now Hashem returned to them to a certain extent with the Mishkan. So this wasn't just a place to serve Hashem, it was a place of historic and cosmic significance. So it was a big deal. Each detail of the building, of the construction, was so important. So that's why it kept on getting repeated. That's why it's repeated all over again here. Andrew, you want to read this one?
The Mishkan and its vessels were of critical importance to the Jewish people as they facilitated the dwelling of the divine presence among the Jewish people. This explains the great fondness both Hashem and the Jewish people had for the Mishkan, and this is the reason why the Torah lists all of the elements of the Mishkan again and again in great detail.
Okay, great. So why is the Mishkan repeated over here? Because the Torah loves talking about the Mishkan, which is so essential and important to our relationship with Hashem. It's the reason that Hashem created the world so we can rest here. And it shows us that Hashem forgave us for the sin of the golden calf, and reminds us that Hashem is back with us. So why doesn't Rashi comment? Why doesn't he feel the need to explain this? And the answer is because he already spoke about repetition in a much earlier Torah portion, a much earlier Parsha, by the story when Abraham's servant Eliezer went to find a wife for Yitzchak. We went to find Rivka. The story of what happened, it's repeated in the Torah, I think like 3 or 4 times. Because first is when it happened. Then he tells the whole story over to Rivka's father and brother. And then when he gets back to Abraham, he tells the whole story again over to Abraham. So it got repeated. And what did it say over there? Why? What does Rashi say there? Why it was repeated so many times? Let's go back to Shelley. Are you here?
Yeah.
Okay,
of
go
course.
for it.
Rabbi Acha said, The conversation of the patriarch's servants is held in higher esteem by God than the Torah, discourses of their children. This is evidenced by the fact that the story of Eliezer is repeated in the Torah, whereas many principles of the Torah were given only through allusions in the text.
Okay, so the main words here is held in high esteem. So the patriarchs, even their servants, were held in high esteem. The Mishkan and what it means is held in high esteem. So the idea is when we are excited, when we feel something so important, we talk about it over and over again. We don't get tired of talking about it, right? If you some
That's
people
me.
like, or if they say like some people are not good salesmen, but if it's something they really believe in, then they can be very good salesmen because they believe in it so much that they just keep talking about it over and over. It's very exciting for them. Okay, so when you're excited about something, you talk about it a lot, and that is text number 9. Catherine.
Passion is defined as a strong and barely controlled emotion. When one is passionate about something, they are eager to do it and feel a strong sense of affection towards it. There are many examples that can show when someone is passionate about something. Some examples of when someone is passionate about something are when they talk about it constantly. They are always eager to do it and they feel a great sense of affection towards it. For instance, if someone is always talking about how much they love to play the piano, it's clear that they are passionate about it. Similarly, if someone is always keen on playing sports or going for runs, it is also an indication of their passion for those activities.
Okay, so if it's cherished, the Torah uses the word sichasan, which means like their talk or the conversation, over Torasan, which is mean more, or maybe Rashi says this, more like narrative or like, so when it's cherished, the story will be repeated as opposed to just an instruction, like a command from Hashem. So that is why this is like a story. It's something important. Okay. So now what is a lesson for us?
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So what we just read, it means that not only just that they're saying what they're passionate about, but they also are taking an action. They're doing it over and over.
Right. So that's a lesson for us. We need to when we get excited, we need to be passionate and excited about our Judaism. We need to talk about it again and again, not just talk about it, but talk about it so much. So, right, we do it and we influence other people to do it. Like there's a term nowadays, I don't know if anyone here knows because we're all over 30, at least some of us, but for the young crowd, they have this term they call each other called Swifties. Have you heard of that?
No.
People who follow Taylor Swift and are crazy about it.
Oh,
yes. Yes,
So we have
definitely.
to be Zwifties. We have to be crazy about our Judaism.
Yeah.
Swifties.
Yeah. So when we look at, I remember I showed you before when Rashi talks about, it says the people of generous heart, they're the ones that like were excited to build a Mishkan. So Rashi specifically used that pasuk, that term from the pasuk, from the verse, to add in there that he doesn't need to explain all the explanations because he already explained them all in the previous parshas. And why is he put it there? Why did he add that little point in over there? Because yes, if you're excited about something, if you have generous heart about a issue, you're going to get excited about it, be passionate about it, talk about it. And so that was kind of like the hint of why it was in that Rashi. Okay, and now some ways to be excited about our Judaism. Text number 10. Sylvia.
Everyone gets animated and excited about something. Some people are into sports, avidly following their team and screaming with excitement when they win the Super Bowl. Others get excited about money, while others are passionate about art, boring everyone around them with long discourses about the beauty of this painting and the finesse of that sculpture. Everyone has something they're excited about. So if your sports passion is red hot, but your Judaism is pale white, that's a problem. If you get excited discussing politics with your friends, yay, but you're dragging your feet to shul or dreading a Shabbat meal with your family, then your Judaism is pale and it runs a risk of sputtering and dying out. The spiritual life of your soul and its connection to God is something worth getting excited about. So don't let the Yankees get all your red hot passion. Leave some of that for your Judaism as well.
Oh, for here we can say the Dodgers. Okay.
Yeah.
I was
Anyway,
about to say Dodgers and you're wearing blue.
I'm wearing purple actually, but that's okay. We'll pretend it's blue. So now, so if we throw our hearts into it, become passionately involved, our Judaism will indeed become the story we're always telling. And I know some of you here are like that. You get excited, you tell people about your experience at Chabad at the class or wherever other fun things you do. And we're going to end, we'll end off with this quite little, I don't know, story / article by this rabbi. Is actually the rabbi in Rancho Mirage, now in Palm Springs. So let's see, Carrie.
So these are current then, huh?
Yeah. These two last ones are pretty current.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. I guess Carrie's thinking. Okay, let's do Batya. We'll end it off Batya. But you have to go and unmute yourself.
My grandmother came to America from Russia with a 4-year stopover in Israel around 1930. She, her husband, and 2 infant boys settled in a Jewish neighborhood in New Jersey. The older boys in the neighborhood welcomed her sons by snatching their yarmulkes off their heads. Rabbi Yosef Yitzhak, the 6th Lubavitch Rebbe, visited America around that time. His Soviet-imposed death sentence had only recently been commuted to life in eternal exile, and shortly thereafter, he was deported from workers' paradise. In America, Jews lined up to seek his counsel and blessing. My grandmother visited the Rebbe for a blessing. Her 2-year-old on her arm, her 3-year-old holding her other hand, she saw the Rebbe's face and burst into tears, crying, "How will I raise children in such a hard land?" The Rebbe smiled so widely that he was almost laughing. She thought at her and was insulted. "It is a hard land." He conceded, growing serious. "But in this land you will raise gut Yiddisher Hasidish Kinder, good Jewish Hasidic children. In her last years, my grandmother was no longer encumbered by recent memory. She told this story with its full emotion, and 10 minutes later she told it again, not missing the slightest detail, the slightest emotion.
It continues.
She would always end the story by saying, "But I did not let that blessing sit. I put it to work." I don't think she ever lost her initial enthusiasm. I think if she had, she would never have been the person she was. For the Parshiot, the Torah told us the details of the tabernacle, the portable sanctuary, the sockets of the walls, the decorative cups of the menorah, the seams of the clothing. Now, for 2 Parshiot, the Torah tells us that it was all fulfilled. The exhaustive repetition begs explanation until we notice 2 words. Nadiv libo described one who gave for the tabernacle, that his heart was full of giving. He will read these portions. We will think they are redundant. We will remember that bringing heaven to earth demands a passion of the heart that allows for no redundancy. We will repeat it with passion that has not abated.
This is our class in a nutshell. That we want to repeat, we want to get excited about something, repeat it. So do that with our Judaism. We don't just sit back and say it's going to come to us or everything will work out. No, we're only going to keep it if we keep working at it, and then we'll have that passion for it, and we'll be excited about it, and we'll share it with everybody who cares to listen or not listen. But at least for
That
us,
sounds like me.
it'll keep our fire burning. What?
I said, that sounds like me all the time.
Yeah.
Good job, Valentina.
Yeah.
I'm excited all the time about every second of this life, how blessed we are.